Have you ever wondered what happens when grief and guilt take over a person's life, twisting it into a labyrinth of obsession? Today, we're stepping into the shadow of one of America's most enigmatic figures, Sarah Winchester, and the architectural anomaly she left behind. House built not for the living, but for the dead. This isn't just a story about a strange house. It's a deep dive into a spiral of superstition, loss, and a fortune spent to appease restless spirits. Sarah Winchester was the heiress to the Winchester Repeating Arms Company fortune. After the devastatingly quick losses of her infant daughter and then her husband, William, Sarah was left a widow with what would be equivalent to over $500 million today. But wealth offered no comfort. Consumed by grief, she sought answers from a spiritual medium in Boston. The message she received would change her life and the landscape of San Jose, California, forever. The medium told her that her family was cursed. The spirits of all those killed by the gun that won the West, the Winchester rifle, were angry and sought vengeance. The only way to appease them, she was told, was to move west and build a great house for them. But there was a catch, a terrifying condition. She must never stop building. The day construction ceased would be the day she would die. So, in 1886, Sarah purchased an 8-room farmhouse in the Santa Clara Valley and began what would become a 38-long, 24-hour-day construction marathon. The project became her life's work, her obsession, her sanctuary, and her prison. The house grew without any master blueprint, guided only by Sarah's nightly seances and the strange, cryptic instructions she gave her carpenters each morning. The result is the Winchester Mystery House, a sprawling 160-room mansion that defies all architectural logic. It's a maze of bewildering design choices. You'll find staircases that lead directly into ceilings, doors that open onto sheer drops to the garden below, and windows that look into other rooms. There are tiny doors for a 4'10" Sarah, and grand doors for, well, no one is quite sure. It's as if the house itself is a physical manifestation of a confused and haunted mind. One of the most pervasive elements throughout the house is Sarah's obsession with the number 13. It's everywhere. There are 13 bathrooms. The 13th bathroom has 13 windows, and there are clothes hooks in groups of 13. Many windows have 13 panes of glass. The grand ballroom has 13 chandeliers. Even her will was divided into 13 parts, which she signed 13 times. This wasn't just a quirky preference. It was a deeply ingrained superstition, perhaps an attempt to control the uncontrollable chaos of the spirit world by using what she considered a powerful, mystical number. At the heart of this spiritual vortex was the seance room. This room, located deep within the house, has only one entrance, but 3 exits. One of the exits is a drop into the kitchen sink on the floor below, a bizarre escape route. It was here, every single night at the stroke of midnight, that Sarah would commune with the spirits. A bell would toll to summon them, and another would ring at 2 a.m. to signal their departure. She would wear one of 13 special colored robes and seek their guidance on the next day's construction. What did they tell her? To build winding, confusing hallways to trick evil spirits. To add another room, another window, another dead-end corridor. The house was their domain, and she was merely their humble and terrified servant. The sheer scale of the project was staggering. One storeroom, known as the $25,000 storeroom, gives us a glimpse into the lavishness. This room was filled with exquisite, custom-made stained glass windows, including a pair designed by Louis Comfort Tiffany himself. They were never installed. They were ordered, delivered, and then simply stored away, forgotten. One window has a spiderweb design, another recurring motif in the house. Perhaps another nod to superstition, or the intricate web she was weaving to trap spirits. The cost of these unused windows alone was astronomical, but to Sarah, money was no object. The only thing that mattered was continuing the work. But let's talk about the ghosts. For decades, staff and visitors have reported chilling encounters that suggest Sarah's spectral guests never left. One of the most active areas is Sarah's bedroom, where she passed away in her sleep in 1922, ironically, the day the construction finally stopped. People report feeling an icy grip on their hand, the sensation of being watched, and the disembodied sound of a woman weeping. Is it Sarah, finally at rest, but forever tied to her creation? Another common report comes from the third-floor corridors, where the figure of a man with a dark mustache, believed to be a former carpenter named Clyde, is often seen. He's said to push wheelbarrows and continue his work in the afterlife, a loyal employee even after death. Visitors have felt sudden cold spots, heard phantom footsteps echoing on the wooden floors, and seen doorknobs turn on their own. The sound of hammering, as if construction is still underway, is a frequent and unnerving occurrence, especially in the dead of night, when the house is empty. One particularly terrifying account comes from a tour guide who was closing up for the night. As she walked through the grand ballroom, she heard the faint sound of music, like an old organ playing. She followed the sound, her heart pounding, down a long, dark hallway. As she got closer, the music grew louder, then abruptly stopped. She turned a corner and saw nothing, but felt a sudden, inexplicable wave of intense sadness wash over her, so powerful it brought her to her knees. It's these personal, emotional encounters that make the house so deeply unsettling. Now, we must consider Sarah Winchester's psychological state. Was she truly being guided by spirits, or was she a woman suffering from profound, untreated trauma? The loss of her child and husband would be devastating for anyone. Add to that the immense guilt she may have felt, profiting from a weapon that caused so much death. In an era where mental health was poorly understood, especially for women, her actions might have been her only way of coping. The constant building could be seen as a form of therapy, a way to keep her mind occupied and distracted from her grief. The bizarre architecture, the dead ends, the confusing layout, it could represent her own state of mind, lost, trapped, and searching for a way out that she could never find. The seances could have been a desperate attempt to reconnect with her lost loved ones, even if it meant inviting in a host of other, more malevolent entities. She wasn't just building a house, she was building a monument to her own sorrow. She was a prisoner of her own fortune, haunted not just by spirits, but by her own mind. The 1906 San Francisco earthquake provides a fascinating chapter in this story. The quake was so powerful it partially destroyed the mansion. Sarah was trapped in her favorite bedroom, the Daisy Room, for several hours, believing the spirits were angry because she was spending too much time and money on the front, more beautiful sections of the house. After she was rescued, she had the front 30 rooms of the house boarded up, never to be entered again. She saw the disaster as a direct punishment and immediately refocused all construction efforts on the maze-like, unfinished sections at the back. Her fear was tangible. The house was not for her, or for show. It was for them, and she had forgotten her place. The Winchester Mystery House stands today as a testament to one woman's extraordinary story. It's a puzzle with no solution, a question with no answer. Whether you believe it as a home for thousands of restless spirits, or a tragic monument to one woman's grief, its power is undeniable. Walking through its halls, you can't help but feel the weight of its history, the echo of the endless hammering, and the palpable sense of a story that is far from over. What do you think? Was Sarah a brilliant woman, cleverly manipulating the spirit world? or a tormented soul lost in her own delusion? The mystery is what keeps us coming back, generation after generation, to wander these halls in wonder. The doors that open to nowhere might just be the most fitting metaphor of all for a life spent searching for an escape that was never there. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the heart of the Winchester Mystery House. If you enjoyed this exploration of the strange and unexplained, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into history's most fascinating mysteries. Let me know in the comments which room or story from the house intrigues you the most. Until next time, stay curious. Ever heard of a house so terrifying it became a legend? Today, we're stepping inside 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, New York, the site of one of the most famous and chilling paranormal cases in American history. This isn't just a spooky story, it's a tale of real tragedy, alleged demonic forces, and a media frenzy that has captivated the world for decades. So, lock your doors, turn on the lights, and let's uncover the dark secrets of the Amityville Horror House. Our story begins, not with ghosts, but with a horrific real-life crime. In the early morning hours of November 13, 1974, the quiet suburban town of Amityville was shattered. Inside the beautiful Dutch colonial home at 112 Ocean Avenue, 23-year-old Ronald DeFeo Jr. took a high-powered rifle and systematically murdered his entire family as they slept. His parents, Ronald Sr. and Louise, and his 4 younger siblings, Dawn, Allison, Mark, and John Matthew. All 6 were found shot, lying face down in their beds. The police were baffled. There were no signs of a struggle, and neighbors reported hearing nothing, not even the loud blasts from the rifle. How could 6 people be killed without anyone waking up or trying to escape? At his trial, DeFeo's story changed multiple times. First, he claimed a mob hitman was responsible. Later, he said he heard voices in the house telling him to do it. This claim of demonic influence would become a central theme in the legend that followed. Ultimately, Ronald DeFeo Jr. was convicted of 6 counts of second-degree murder and sentenced to 6 consecutive life sentences. The house, stained by this unimaginable tragedy, sat empty. The crime was brutal and shocking, but what happened next would turn this house from a local tragedy into an international phenomenon. Just over a year later, in December 1975, the Lutz family moved in. George and Kathy Lutz, along with Kathy's 3 children from a previous marriage, bought the house for a bargain price of $80,000. Fully aware of its dark past, they believed they could make it their dream home. They even had a priest, Father Ralph Pecoraro, come to bless the house before they moved in. This is where the paranormal activity allegedly began, as the priest sprinkled holy water in one of the upstairs bedrooms, the former room of Mark and John Matthew DeFeo. He reportedly heard a deep, masculine voice command, "Get out." He also claimed to feel an invisible slap across his face. Shaken, he warned the Lutzes to stay out of that room, but he didn't fully explain the terrifying encounter at the time. The Lutz family's stay at 112 Ocean Avenue lasted only 28 days. In that short time, they reported an onslaught of terrifying events that escalated daily. It started with strange odors, cold spots, and swarms of flies appearing in the middle of winter. George Lutz began waking up every morning at 3:15 a.m., the estimated time of the DeFeo murders, feeling inexplicably ill and cold. His personality changed drastically. He became withdrawn, angry, and obsessed with the fireplace. Kathy had recurring nightmares about the murders and discovered the order in which the family members died. She also claimed to levitate in her sleep on several occasions. The children weren't spared. Their youngest daughter, Missy, developed an imaginary friend named Jody, whom she described as a demonic, pig-like creature with glowing red eyes. Jody would supposedly appear outside the windows, leaving hoofprints in the snow. Objects moved on their own. Walls oozed green slime. A crucifix on the wall inverted itself, and disembodied voices echoed through the halls. The final night was the breaking point. The family described being terrorized by unseen forces with banging sounds so loud it felt like a marching band was in their living room. Furniture was thrown around, and they felt a malevolent presence physically touching them. Terrified for their lives, the Lutz family fled the house in the middle of the night, leaving all their possessions behind, never to return. Their story was first told in Jay Anson's 1977 best-selling book, The Amityville Horror. Anson's book, presented as a true story, was an instant sensation. It detailed the family's 28 days of terror in graphic detail, capturing the public's imagination. In 1979, the book was adapted into a blockbuster movie of the same name, solidifying the house's legendary status. The film's iconic jack-o'-lantern-like windows became a symbol of haunted houses everywhere. The Amityville Horror became a massive franchise, spawning numerous sequels, remakes, and documentaries, each adding new layers to the myth. The story had everything: a real-life murder, a young family in peril, and a battle against a seemingly demonic entity. But was it all true? From the very beginning, the Lutz's story has been surrounded by controversy and skepticism. Critics and investigators quickly began to pick apart their claims. For instance, Father Pecoraro, the priest who blessed the house, largely stuck to his story, but his account in a sworn affidavit differed in some details from the book's version. Researchers pointed out that there were no police reports filed by the Lutzes during their stay. The so-called green slime was never found, and the demonic hoofprints in the snow couldn't be verified, as there was no record of snowfall during that period. The biggest blow to the story's credibility came from Ronald DeFeo's own lawyer, William Weber. Weber, who had represented DeFeo at his trial, admitted that he and the Lutzes had created this horror story over many bottles of wine. He claimed the plan was to fabricate a paranormal story to help with a potential retrial for DeFeo, arguing that demonic forces in the house influenced him. According to Weber, they took the real-life details of the DeFeo case and embellished them with classic horror tropes. George and Kathy Lutz, however, maintained their story was true until their deaths. They even took and passed a polygraph test, though the validity and interpretation of those tests have also been debated. So, what are we to believe? Are we looking at a genuine haunting, a masterful hoax, or something in between? Believers argue that the sheer number of reported phenomena, coupled with the family's willingness to abandon their home and belongings, points to a real and terrifying experience. They suggest that the trauma of the DeFeo murders left a dark psychic stain on the property, a residual energy that tormented the new inhabitants. The idea of a pre-existing evil, perhaps an ancient Native American burial ground on the site, was also introduced, though this claim has been widely debunked. On the other hand, skeptics argue it was a carefully crafted money-making scheme. The Lutzes were facing financial difficulties at the time, and the book and movie deals that followed their story made them a significant amount of money. The inconsistencies in their accounts and the admission from William Weber provide strong evidence for a hoax. Perhaps the Lutzes, living in a house with such a gruesome history, simply let their imaginations run wild, turning every creek and cold spot into something supernatural, a psychological phenomenon known as suggestion. Regardless of where the truth lies, the legacy of the Amityville Horror is undeniable. The house at 112 Ocean Avenue, which has since been renovated and had its address changed to protect its owners, remains a morbid tourist attraction. The story has become a cornerstone of modern paranormal pop culture, shaping how we think about haunted houses and demonic possession. It blurred the lines between fact and fiction, creating a legend that is far more powerful than the simple truth could ever be. Whether it was a house possessed by evil, or a family possessed by a great story, the Amityville Horror continues to fascinate and terrify us. It reminds us that sometimes, the most frightening ghosts are the ones that live in our own minds and in the stories we tell. What do you think happened in that house? Was it a true haunting or a brilliant hoax? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of history's greatest mysteries, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more content. See you next time. Deep in the heart of Scotland's capital, perched atop an extinct volcano, a fortress looms over the city. This is Edinburgh Castle, a place of kings and queens, battles and sieges. But beneath its majestic exterior lies a history steeped in darkness, a past so turbulent it has left an indelible mark on its ancient stones. Tonight, we peel back the layers of time to explore the chilling tales and restless spirits that are said to roam the castle's hallowed halls. The story of Edinburgh Castle is the story of Scotland itself, a saga written in blood and stone over 1,000 years. Its strategic position made it the most besieged place in Great Britain. Imagine the echoes of clashing swords, the roar of cannons, and the cries of soldiers that once filled these very grounds. The air here feels heavy with memory, thick with the triumphs and tragedies of centuries. Our journey into the shadows begins in the castle's deepest, most foreboding corners, the dungeons. Down here, far from the light of day, the conditions were truly horrific. Hundreds, if not thousands, of prisoners were crammed into these cold, damp, and lightless cells. French pirates, Spanish sailors, and even American revolutionaries, captured during the War of Independence, were left to waste away in the darkness. Imagine the desperation, the sheer hopelessness of being trapped in this subterranean nightmare. The walls themselves seem to weep with the sorrow of those who perished here. Visitors often report a sudden, inexplicable drop in temperature, the feeling of being touched by an unseen hand, or a profound sense of sadness that washes over them. It's as if the agony of the prisoners has been absorbed by the very rock. One of the most famous and tragic spirits is that of a young boy, a piper sent to explore the secret tunnels that supposedly run from the castle down to the Royal Mile. As the legend goes, he was told to play his bagpipes as he walked, so those above could track his progress. The sound of his pipes echoed through the streets of Edinburgh. Then suddenly, silence. The music stopped. A rescue party was sent in, but they found no trace of the boy. The tunnel entrance was sealed, and the piper was never seen again. But his story doesn't end there. To this day, people walking on the castle grounds and along the Royal Mile report hearing the faint, mournful sound of bagpipes playing from deep beneath the earth. It's a phantom melody, a ghostly lament for a life cut tragically short. Is it the lost piper, still wandering the dark, endless tunnels, forever trying to find his way back? Then there is the tale of Janet Douglas, Lady Glamis. In the 16th century, she was accused of witchcraft by King James V, who bore a deep hatred for her family. Despite the charges being widely seen as fabricated, she was brought to the castle, tortured, and ultimately burned at the stake in front of her young son. Her execution was a brutal, public spectacle. It's said her spirit, a tormented figure known as the Grey Lady, has never left. She is often seen drifting through the castle's halls, a sorrowful apparition forever searching for justice. Staff and visitors have reported seeing a hazy, gray figure moving through rooms, only to vanish when approached. Her presence is a chilling reminder of a time when paranoia and political vengeance could lead to such a horrific fate. Perhaps one of the most active paranormal hotspots within the castle is the South Bridge Vaults, which lie directly beneath the castle's esplanade. In 2001, one of the largest paranormal investigations in history took place here, called Operation Sleepover. Over 200 volunteers spent 10 days in the castle's most haunted locations, armed with modern ghost hunting equipment. The results were astounding. Dozens of participants reported inexplicable phenomena. They witnessed shadowy figures darting through doorways, felt their clothes being tugged by unseen forces, saw strange mists appear out of nowhere, and experienced sudden, dramatic drops in temperature. One of the most terrifying accounts came from a woman who was in one of the vaults. She felt something grab her and was so frightened she couldn't even scream. The sheer volume of consistent, independent reports from this investigation has made even the most hardened skeptics pause and wonder. Another ghostly resident is a headless drummer boy. His story dates back to 1650, just before Oliver Cromwell's army attacked the castle. The sound of a single, solitary drum beat was heard echoing from the battlements. When the guards went to investigate, they saw the spectral figure of a young boy, without a head, beating his drum. He was seen as a terrifying omen of the defeat and death to come. Since then, his ghostly drumming is said to be heard only when the castle is under threat, a phantom alarm from beyond the grave. Though sightings are rare, the chilling, rhythmic beat has been reported by sentries and staff members over the centuries, a harbinger of danger. We must also speak of the prisoners from the Jacobite risings and the Napoleonic Wars. The dungeons were overflowing with these men. One story tells of a prisoner who, desperate to escape, tried to hide in a dung barrow. He hoped he would be wheeled out of the castle and dumped outside. Tragically, instead of being tipped onto soft grass, the barrow was emptied over the castle rock's sharp cliffs. His fall was fatal. Today, visitors in the dungeons often report a strange smell, a sudden wave of nausea, and the distinct feeling of being pushed from behind. Some believe it's the ghost of the escaped prisoner, still trying to shove his way to a freedom he never found. The castle is a place where the veil between worlds feels incredibly thin. From the specter of a man in a leather apron seen in the courtyard to unexplained lights, disembodied voices, and doors that open and close on their own, the phenomena are endless. Even animals seem to react to the unseen. Guard dogs have been known to stop dead in their tracks, refusing to enter certain rooms, growling at something their handlers cannot see. So, is Edinburgh Castle truly haunted? Is it home to the restless souls of its dark and violent past? Or are these stories simply the product of overactive imaginations, amplified by the castle's imposing and ancient atmosphere? The sheer consistency of the tales, reported by countless individuals over hundreds of years, is difficult to dismiss. Whether you're a believer or a skeptic, one thing is certain: a walk through Edinburgh Castle is a walk through history, where every shadow seems to hold a secret, and every gust of wind sounds like a whisper from the past. The spirits of the castle, whether real or imagined, are an inseparable part of its legacy, a testament to the lives, the struggles, and the sorrows that are etched into its very foundations. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the haunted heart of Scotland. If you enjoyed this exploration, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more dives into the world's most mysterious places.